Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, as it were. So today we have the brand new Capture 121 that is out. I have been beta testing this thing for, I don't know, a month, maybe better than a month. And so there's a lot to talk about, but I think, I don't know, call me never easy to please, but there's a lot of things I wanted in this that aren't here. And I want to talk about, first of all, what is in it and how it applies to me. Because if you follow this channel, you know that I'm more of a studio shooter. So some of the things are pretty handy, and I want to talk about their use and how they'll probably affect my workflow a bit. But then I want to talk about some of the things that are in it that I'm not going to use. For instance, I only own Apple stock. I don't own any Apple devices. So the entire support for HEIC is not really going to mean anything to me. But hey, if you own an Apple device, and you should go buy more Apple devices, by the way, then this is a great thing for you. So you can now edit your Apple images in Capture One. But for me, it's not really going to matter. But let's talk about the things that do matter. So first of all, we have some new camera profiles. Now I pulled up this high school senior session that I shot last year before last, I can't remember. But I shoot in a studio most of the time. So, I mean, aside from my clients, which most clients I can't show in this channel. However, I can show Cecilia here. So, only because she signed up to be one of my models. So we have like a combination for my high school seniors that want to become models. She now lives in Miami and is a successful model. So there you go. But let's talk about some of the goofiness that they've added here. That's kind of cool from the standpoint of cameras. So if you are, and if you don't know, I bought a new machine. So I have a new NVIDIA 3080 card, which is apparently like so hard to get that I had to buy a whole new machine instead of just buying the card, which is what I was going to do. But I was due for a new machine anyway. So we want to do is talk about the ability to change the camera profile. So as you can see, my stuff is kind of screwed up in here. So like finding things versus how they were before is always a challenge. So we're looking for base characteristics, and this is where you set your camera and the curve that will be applied to it. So this is the one of the things I love about Capture One is this linear response. By the way, this is what the camera saw, but it always puts a curve on it on the back of the camera, so you can see, what a human would like to see. Which is why you should never use this to judge if the image is too bright or not, because the linear response is actually what was captured. And your ability to get to this and then to kind of curve it on your own is really nice instead of choosing one of the presets that are available. So they have added now this new Pro Standard, and it's not available for every body, but for some of the more common bodies. So if we look here, we'll zoom right in and we'll do a combination between the two here so you can kind of see the difference. So it's supposed to be better at interpreting skin tones, more consistent from camera to camera. And I have been using it, and I find it to be a good update, right? It's worthwhile. I don't know that it's game changing, but I've always found Capture One to be very good at skin tones anyway, at least versus Lightroom, which is terrible. So I consider this a nice little upgrade, but they had a year to work on this, so I was just wanting more. Anyway, so there's this, and it's very nice. You can also still get to all the other ones. So if you choose to say, well, today I'm feeling like I want to shoot a phase 1 IQ 250, because I've got 80,000 hours hanging around and I just wanted to shoot the same kind of look. Well, then you can go ahead and do that if you choose to. Okay. So let's talk about the one that everyone's jumping around about the dehaze filter. So dehaze, which is in Lightroom already, if you did not know that, is used for people who shoot outside, and I shoot inside a lot. So it's very nice though. So the way the dehaze works is you can first of all, you can add the control to any panel like you can inside of Capture One anywhere you'd like to. So we can click here, add tool, and choose the dehaze. Dehaze has a couple things that I pay attention to. First of all, this color here can be calculated, so you can force it to recalculate based on the image as to what the haze color it detects it sees. Now, if you've watched this channel for a while, you know that I like to torture this product and make it do things it's not supposed to do. And I already have a way to torture this dehaze in the studio to get an effect. So I'm going to show you that in a little bit here. So the idea here is that you can pull some of the haze out. And I don't have a lot of hazy pictures. Again, I shoot, high school seniors, and, this is, she's a beautiful lady. But again, I don't have a lot of hazy places to shoot, or I don't shoot during haze, I should say. Notice too that the calculation for this image is different. So it has said, this is the haze color for this image, and you can use this to pick a different haze. It's catching all these woods back here. So I'd probably say, it's more of this gray color in here. And by the way, you can change that dropper up here too, to any of these other myriad of droppers that exist inside of Capture One. They're getting a whole gaggle of droppers now. So I think that's how number of droppers is measured, is in gaggles. So now you can kind of push and pull this around. Again, I don't have the best example. I don't have any amazing, Scottish Highlands with castles. I live in Wisconsin, right? We don't have, we have a lot of flat land here. We have some hills. So this is about the best I'm going to give you for this, but it's a cool tool and I like it. But again, I think that once you do this, you kind of have to argue a bit with other things. Like you can see this image is now pushing the saturation just a bit more than I would like. So this is kind of creating a little bit of work for me. But I think if haze is an issue and you need to remove it, well, then you now have a tool to do so. But you need to realize it's not the end game, right? There's going to have to be some additional things to pick up after you've dealt with this for a bit. So now let's talk about the speed keys. Well, actually, before we go into speed keys, let's talk about another thing that I haven't seen a lot of people touch on. Yeah, Holy Hill, and Holy Hill is beautiful, but I haven't made it over there during a hazy day. Let's talk about one of the other things that I love about the new Capture One. And as you know, I'm going to be kind of critical in this thing. So this is a picture I did with Carly. If you haven't seen this, I retouched this entirely in Capture One, and I didn't use Photoshop at all. And there's a whole video series linked down below. But we did a ton of messing around with these things. And if you look at some of these layers that were created, there's a lot going on in this one. It's like we used M. Actually, you can do Alt-M to show you the mask. I drew all these with the brush inside of Capture One, and it took me a while. And now inside of Capture One, you have, if you use your B key, now they do like Photoshop does. If you hit on Alt and right click, you can go side to side to change your brush, and then up and down will change its hardness. And then you can do Alt Shift at the same time, and you can pull the flow and opacities down. I don't find that one as intuitive, but I like the fact I can do it. So I'm actually pretty pleased with this. Like this, to me, is probably the biggest update to Capture One 21 in my mind. I love this because I use my brushes a ton in this product. And to do this without that, and yes, you can use a Wacom tablet and everything, but to constantly adjust my opacity and the brush size is a pain. And you have to use the bracket keys, and I don't like to use that in Photoshop. It slows me down. Now, if we can only talk Capture One into getting a scrubby zoom, because this whole zoom thing is terrible. I mean, look at that. I'm pulling backward, and it's just easier to go up here and click on this. So please, Capture One, fix the stupid zoom. I love the brush. Now, if we can do a scrubby zoom, if you don't know what a scrubby zoom is, in Photoshop, you can just do this, right? You just click and hold and drag from side to side, and you get a nice in and out. It's so beautiful. So if they do that, that'd be great. So I would like to see that change. I don't know if there's other things that you would have liked to see in this product. Throw them in the comments here, because I would like to know what your list looks like. By the way, if you didn't know, Capture One offers this feature request website. That's right, where you can upload a request that is probably not going to make it into the next version. And I'm saying that sarcastically, but it really frustrates me because many of these things are marked as completed. And HDR and focus stacking, I think that's been asked for a long time. Obviously not in the product. HEIC support, okay, yeah, that one made it. But look at some of these other ones. Show folder content recursively. Recursive view and multiple selection. There's all these things about, I want to be able to see all of the folders inside of my Capture One. Like if I have subsections under my capture folder, for example. You'll see this constant is just in here so many times. This one here too, parent folders should show totals of their children. If you've used Capture One catalogs before, they only show 0 unless you expand each folder. And you can say, hey, look at that loudmouth guy put that on there. I'm not a quiet not a quiet member of this community, we'll put it that way. And I used to be a software developer for 15 years. I mean, I worked for Microsoft. I have a storied history. So I understand when someone requests a feature, how much effort goes into it. But here's another one, LUTs. Why can't we have LUTs? Well, yeah, you can pay $10 a month for Lutify Me or $300 for one of the other LUT tools. Why doesn't Capture One have LUTs in it yet? So I have an ongoing wager that I think Microsoft Paint is going to come up with LUT support before Capture One. And I should almost put money behind that. See if people want to wager with me, and then have Bill Gates actually hear about it and then put LUT support in. That'd be embarrassing, Capture One. That would be very embarrassing. Anyway, so I don't want to degrade the product totally, but that I really need LUTs in here. I mean, that's unacceptable in this day and age. All right, so let's talk about these quick edit keys, because that's all the rage and everybody's talking about it. You know, they're very nice. When I first saw this as a feature, I was like, well, that's fine. I mean, it's not my, like, I don't mind taking time to go in here and fiddle with the color and these sliders. And I think it's part of my therapy to relax. Like, well, okay. So at first I was like, whatever, but so basically just hold down a key. So I've mapped mine a bit differently, but you can go up under your keyboard shortcuts and then click on the speed edit keys, and you could put them to wherever you'd like to put them. I added the dehaze to the H. So, which makes sense. You just click and hold, and then left click and drag. You can adjust that amount, and it'll show you at the bottom here what filter you're using. So you can, if you feel like you're changing the white balance on your images a little bit, or the tint. Well, I'm not going to belabor these. I mean, there's 1,000 other videos out here today that are talking about them. But I think that's a nice change. But is it super handy for me? I don't know. Kip is asking about the last image. Yeah, there's a whole video series on how I did this. I linked to it below. So if you want to see that, it's linked down below, and it's all these layers up here. I mean, it's a whole bunch of layers, but there's a whole video series on how I did that, and it's free for you. Just go watch it and click like on them. Of course, that's your way of clapping on the internet. So to change these things, obviously just click and hold. Now, I was at first concerned with some of the original betas that if I click on E, for example, because I want to use my eraser, it would still be stuck in the quick edit mode, and I couldn't get back to my basic things. So I'd have to go up here and use these things. And I am a shortcut fiend. Every time I don't have to touch one of these things up here, I'm happy. I like to hit brush, to hit E. I thought for a while they were going to have to come up with a method to turn quick keys on and off. But luckily they didn't. They seem to have gotten that now. So the click and hold is long enough that it makes sense to me. So I'm quite happy with the way that turned out. But yeah, that's the one that was kind of the big one for everybody. Let me move this out of the way again. Now they talk about faster asset management, and I think that some of these things are faster, but I'm also on a much faster machine. And one of the criticisms I have is, this is a different session here, but we have these Capture One folders appear everywhere inside of any directory that's touched by Capture One. And in here is this cache. And this is if you're using sessions, by the way. And I'm a session guy. I'm not a catalog guy. I think catalogs in Capture One are frustrating. So I don't know that's I can discuss that with any sense of humility, because I'm just not a fan of it. But these proxies and thumbnails, you can delete these anytime you'd like. But if you let this thing run amok for a while, this can get huge. And another thing is, if I'm using this on my network attached storage, then these things are taking up space and they're slow to write, and they really don't belong there. They belong on my working drive. So I have to drag all of my sessions to my working drive, which is this NVMe, 2, it's a super freaking fast drive that doesn't even use these because they're on the network attached storage. So I would really like to see Capture One be able to move the cache folder for sessions. I understand sessions are self-contained, and there's a few people I have great respect for who pointed that out and said these are, they're self-contained, they're supposed to be self-contained. I get that, but I would still like to have the cache be something I can move, because I don't like these folders littering everything. They're just everywhere. Anytime you touch anything with the system folders method of Capture One, it creates one of these Capture One folders. And I'd like to see that removed. That was just easy going for me. So let's talk about one of the other things that drives me nuts about Capture One that I wanted to see in this version that isn't here, and I'm bringing it up in this video because I think if we raise awareness for it, we get somebody to fix it. And that is in the keywords. Now, I lost my keywords when Capture One beta uninstalled, and I had to reinstall a new one, and I lost all my recipes, so I created a whole video on my recipes. Speaking of which, if we're talking about efficiency, let's say I want to move this image to Photoshop and I just exported a client version. I have to click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Plus you have to make sure it's highlighted. So let's say 7 times. And then when I want to export this, I have to click once, highlight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I would have liked to see here, and I requested it, was just alt click on this one up here, and it would have unselected all these other ones automatically. That would have been just beautiful. Like, little things like that, I call those quality of life upgrades. Little quality of life touch like that would have made this so nice to me. Mountain is saying, is 720p the max resolution we can live stream in? No, I should be able to live stream in HD. It should be live streaming in HD. If it's not, I'm doing something wrong. So maybe I need to look at that. This is a new machine that I'm live streaming in, so I apologize if that is sent incorrectly. If it is, well, I'll have to redo this video, but it shouldn't be. It should be full 1080. Yeah, let me know if this is live streaming in a lower number. Good to know. Is it worth upgrading from version 20? Well, I think so. It's not like I'm not going to be one of these cheerleaders out there going, oh my God, yes, it's so worth it. There's a lot of bugs in 20 that got resolved, and some of them drove me nuts. One of them was if you double-clicked on an image and then changed it back to grid mode, this film strip mode would be unavailable. So you'd have to toggle in and out again, and then it would be available. That drove me nuts because it affected me many times on any given day because I come in and out of this mode constantly, and it drove me a little batty. So I'm glad to see that was fixed. And the fact that it remembers the mode, this is my preferred mode. I don't like the other two. It's just not my thing, which is why we have options. 720 max. Well, I apologize for that, guys. I'll have to fix that. I don't know if there's anything I can do about it right now, but noted. I'll have to double check that. Thank you for bringing that out. I'll see if I can get the HD version up later. One of the other things that drives me absolutely batty is keywords. So when we use keywords, I like to have them so that they're nested. So like models fall under this type of a system. To add a new one, you just right click and choose create keyword child. If the list is really long, it won't auto scroll to the bottom. You have to scroll to the bottom first. And then I put in my new one, and it should select it for me because I just typed it in there. The bigger problem with this, though, is that if I don't want to export the word models, I don't want to see that anywhere. And there should be the option to suppress this. And you may be thinking, wow, what's the big deal? How's that going to matter? How can we make that work? It's already in the freaking product. If you look in the Capture One database, because I'm that guy, like I'm going to go in here and rip stuff apart. It's actually right here, is exportable. They're all marked as true, and there's no way to mark them as false. So it's already part of Capture One. So who knows why it's not in the interface, but that should have been in the product as well. But that was my big to-do in this. But anyway, so there's a lot in the new Capture One. Performance-wise, seems to be a bit better, but again, I'm on a new machine, so I can't really tell you for sure whether that's because of Capture One or because it's the new machine. But I do find it running smoother than it did before. I still think that they allow us to move the cache to these really fast drives we have. That would make the product so much more responsive and not cost us anything. Plus, I'm not moving cache files to my network attached storage. That would be beautiful. I mean, you have these wonderfully fast drives now that are 3,500 megabits a second or something like that, and I can't use it unless I drag all my sessions to it. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. All right. Well, anyway, so that's kind of what's new in Capture One to me. There's There's other little nuances, like they added this, the tutorial links everywhere, and better support for hints and tool tips and so on. You know, that's fine. It's good for people that are new. There's also a better import dialog, but to me, it's getting, you know, close to like what Lightroom has. And I don't see it to be, I mean, it's nicer, but is it substantially different? No, it's nicer, but it's not life-changing. So if you like the quick edit keys, the fact there are no, the bugs in 20 are gone for the most part. Some of these things I'm whining about aren't in the product, but the dehaze tool, the quick edit tools, and the support for the HEIC form. Plus, I have to say the camera profiles, the ability to use those new pro profiles that they have here are probably going to be pretty nice. But at this point, I really haven't had a chance to play with them enough to say that I'm sold on it or not. But there you go. So what I'm probably going to do is call this video good, and I'm going to be back later on today. I'm going to fix this stream so it comes out at 1080, because 720 is going to drive you all nuts, including me. And I'm going to work on some images. I shot a session yesterday. On Sunday. That was great, and we had a bunch of videos from that. I actually posted a behind the scenes video of that to the member area of this channel. We have a members area of this channel where you get textures every month, and I'm going to actually start giving out Capture One presets to the supporters for the channel. There's already a ton of textures available, so if you join, you get access to all those previous textures, as well as the behind the scenes footage and a lot of my live streams, which are now private to members only. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, click on the join button. And remember to click the like button if you like this video, and that's really it. I'm going to abandon ship now, fix this resolution thing, and then be back later where we're going to work on some of those pictures from yesterday, because I have a bunch of really fun ones in here that we're going to add some additional elements to and do some compositing and so on. So once again, everybody, hey, thanks for coming in. Everybody take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.